Go, go, go!
Target building secured. Package located.
Extraction protocol.
An American pilot remains jailed in Guinea more than 35 days after a court ordered his release. Brad Schlenker's family is seeking urgent help as military authorities delay compliance. Well, tonight we present documented evidence and call on the Trump administration to act and bring this American citizen home and his co-pilot. Yes, this is not only about one pilot or a co-pilot. It tests whether American leadership will enforce the rule of law abroad. When foreign militaries can override courts and delay releases, every American overseas faces risk. Brad Schlenker was cleared by Guinea's Air Traffic Control and Court of Appeal, yet he has remained jailed since December 13th. His family is navigating pressure, delays, and financial demands simply to enforce a legal ruling. Now, the U.S. Embassy, here's where it gets interesting, lacks an ambassador there, leaving limited authority on the ground. This moment now calls for executive engagement, firm diplomacy, and clear leadership to ensure Americans are protected and court orders are respected. It's at stake here tonight with consequences beyond this single case globally. And speaking of investments that actually protect Americans, I do need to tell you about Vizsla Copper. Very important here. While everybody was watching the headlines, the Trump administration quietly released a document that could reshape the entire mining sector. Now, this is real. It's happening right now under Executive Order 14241. Now, it's not just about mining. It's a national security imperative. In an official report to the White House, the administration just named the Palmer Project in Alaska as a key asset for America's mineral independence. Vizsla Copper has acquired that project. We're talking an estimated $3.5 billion in-ground value, containing the very copper, zinc, and silver that's vital for our military and our energy grid. This is a government-backed move to fast-track domestic production and puts Vizsla, trading in the U.S. under ticker VCUFF, and at the center of its action. And that's just the beginning for Vizsla Copper. They're led by the same team that propelled Vizsla Silver to a $1 billion valuation. With the Palmer acquisition announced, this could mark the start of something monumental. They have the team, they have the assets, and now the explicit backing of a U.S. administration prioritizing national security. We've seen this happen recently when other Alaskan miners like Trilogy Metals and Nova Minerals got government backing. Their shares shot up over 200%. The Palmer Project was just named in the government's report, and the market hasn't even priced it in. Now, Vizsla Copper trades in the U.S. under ticker VCUFF and in Canada as VCU.V. They're definitely worth a closer look. Huge thanks to Vizsla Copper for making today's video possible. There's an exclusive briefing in the description below if you want more information. Now back to this horrifying story. You see, here's what raises the urgency now. Congressman John McGuire of Virginia has offered to travel to Guinea himself. His diplomatic efforts stall. Consider that very carefully. A sitting member of Congress stepping forward to protect an American citizen. Now, the court ordered Schlenker's release on January 23rd. Yet military authorities continued delaying execution and prolonging detention. This level of involvement underscores how serious and unresolved the situation remains today, right now, very urgently. So here's the thread that we just posted, and if you want to help us, you can share this thread. If you're over on X, make sure you do repost it. We need all hands on deck for this. An American pilot has been detained for over 35 days in Guinea despite a court order clearing him for release. What happened next is worse: military pressure, cash demands, and a broken U.S. diplomatic response. This sets up the core injustice. Now, we're going to show you this is not some shadowy operative. Who's being held? This is Brad. He's in the cockpit. Brad Schlenker, a U.S. citizen and professional pilot with decades of experience, civilian commercial pilot, lawful international aviation. This matters because Nothing about Brad fits a national security threat. And his credentials matter because they debunk any national security justification. Next, we're going to see the actual aircraft and prove this was just routine aviation. It was a Gulfstream jet. We have the photo of it on the tarmac here. This is the actual civilian Gulfstream G4 at the Guinea International Airport. Properly marked, no military markings, no isolation or emergency posture. This directly contradicts claims that the flight was endangered. The civilian aircraft image destroys the threat narrative, but let's show how the landing was actually authorized by Guinea itself. ATC authorization. Guinean Air Traffic Control cleared the aircraft to enter the airspace, cleared descent, cleared approach, and cleared the landing. And the ATC transcripts exist. This was state-authorized flight activity. Independent aviation experts confirm the stop was mandatory. Air traffic control proves that Guinea invited the aircraft in, and now we reveal how quickly hospitality turned into hostage-taking. What happened after the landing? After a normal landing, the aircraft was sealed, pilots arrested, armed personnel deployed, passengers were released to a 5-star hotel. The pilots were jailed, though. No contraband, no threat, no evidence. Now, this is an image that I created to depict the situation, because obviously no cameras were on the ground. But the passengers were released. That's what's really curious here. The passengers were released to a 5-star hotel. The pilots were jailed. It's a question we don't have answers for. The arrest contradicts the authorized landing, and now we're going to talk about how the passengers got luxury treatments. Yes. Brad and Fabio at the police station. This image shows Brad and the co-pilot Fabio in the first days of custody before prison. No charges, no conviction, no timeline, already a due process failure. The early detention photos show this was arbitrary from day one. Next, we'll see the horrific conditions they're enduring. Sleeping on the floor, this is where they slept while officials decided what to do. On the floor, no beds, no legal resolution, indefinite detention, not lawful incarceration. This is the brutality, but we're going to reveal that even Guinea's own courts said this was wrong. The court ruling on January 23rd ordered their release, subject only to judicial controls and bail. The written ruling is explicit. The Guinea court overturns the detention order. They did nothing wrong. But then the military stepped in. Military jumped in and overrode the court. According to the family, prosecutors privately admitted the judge says he's not guilty, but the military will not let him go. This is the moment the case stopped being judicial. Another depiction of the courtroom. Military intervention reveals this is not about law. And now this is actually a cash extraction scheme. What happened next is all on the record. I spoke with the family today on the phone, and they detailed to me the explicit situation in detail. The family was told to respect, that respect must be paid to the military. $5,000 demanded per pilot. Funds were sent, release was promised, then the release was delayed, new paperwork invented, and the cycle repeated. Clearly extortion. And I just got a text from Brad's brother with an update. He said Brad and Fabio didn't get the food from their lady today. She said she was sick and wasn't coming. They had to order takeout, which is expensive. This is a violation of agreement with somebody it's their responsibility to make sure they get food. They never came. Stop answering their texts. So I'm not sure what that exactly means, but the extortion demands prove this is criminal behavior by Guinea officials. The scam kept evolving even after the payment. Military approval suddenly insufficient after the payment. Court stamps required. Hotel stay duration question. Supreme Court appeal delayed. Each delay prolongs detention and leverage. Here's the recording from the prison. Listen carefully.
To Brother John. So Ben, great to make your acquaintance. Thank you guys for everything that you're doing. It's very, very frustrating here, and we are really needing some help from some top level people. It's just looking like things are not going to progress here. It's like an endless gerbil in a hamster wheel. It just keeps spinning and spinning. But I'm going to try to keep this kind of short. The essence of this madness is, we flew from Suriname to Conakry, GUCY airport. Flight plan in a KO flight plan, ICAO, International Civil Aviation Authority flight plan was filed, was approved, and right there, it's legal precedence that we are cleared to fly that route, and that means both states on either end agreed. So we don't even start engines until we get a clearance, and the clearance is based upon that flight plan. So we got our clearance, started the engines, flew here, and before we entered Guinea's controlled area, it's a point on the map. We speak to them, and they're like, "Yes, you're cleared to continue, cleared to descend." And then next control ATC was approached, and essentially they said, "Yep, you're cleared to fly to XYZ." And that's where this whole stupid flight permit thing came to light. And he asked us if we had the flight permit number. We said stand by, check the flight plan, check the paperwork. We couldn't find it. It was never something that was even posted on the NOTAMs, which is a requirement if you're demanding any kind of an unusual item like that. So there's no way we could have even known that was a requirement. Again, the NOTAMs are published for any ICAO airport. They all publish their own little peculiarities. Wasn't there. It's not there. You can go now on the ForeFlight, which is a flight planning app. It's not there. So anyway, we said, sorry, we don't have one. They basically said, can you, call your company and work it out? Well, no, we don't have sat phone. We're, across the sea. Can you please ask your superiors if they could work something out for us? And so we entered the hold, and essentially he came back after, 6 minutes or 7 minutes and said, okay, you're cleared to exit the hold. You are cleared for the approach. Great. Okay. That's from ATC. That's from Guinea ATC. Cleared for the approach, cleared for the arrival, and cleared to land. All in the transcripts on the radio communication, which we have. And this is also something that takes precedence. ATC clears you into their airspace, you're good to go. Now, if they had said prior to coming into their airspace, hey, sorry, you are not authorized to come into our airspace, we would have said, great, okay, fine, we'll go to our alternate airport. No issues. But no, they played this game with us. And then they basically kidnapped us when we landed and opened the door, and were met with multiple machine guns, 3 armed vehicles, and about 80 other heavily armed individuals. And then the madness ensued, and here we are, still being held without any justification. So It's just absolute madness. We've got a lawyer on it, but again, it's just like it's spinning wheels. And I've talked to enough inmates in here already to know how things are working. And we need some help, man. We really need some help. I appreciate it. Got to run. Thank you.
You heard it there from Brad himself, the pilot. The moving goalposts expose systematic exploitation. Now America's own diplomats failed. The U.S. Embassy failure. U.S. Embassy in Guinea, no ambassador, vacant since July. Staffed by junior officers, no effective authority. Congressional offices are told he is legally detained and healthy. That statement contradicts the court order. The embassy failure shows institutional breakdown, but now we're going to highlight exactly one official who is fighting for Brad. Congress did step up. The state did not. One office's acting, John McGuire, a former Navy SEAL, has offered to travel to Guinea personally if needed. It should not be necessary, but it does tell you everything. Congressional action contrasts sharply with the State Department inaction. Now here's some testimony to destroy the entire justification. The experts are saying a consolidated independent aviation expert report concludes no unauthorized overflight, no unlawful landing, no national defense risk. Any issue was administrative and not criminal. Detention is disproportionate and unjustified. Now, if you want to go to the actual thread, you can view all these documents for yourself. And this is why it's demanding presidential action. When a court orders release, the military blocks it, cash is demanded, diplomacy stalls. This becomes political detention, and only a top-level U.S. intervention can end it. Presidential level stakes are established, and now we will reveal the specific officials who need to act. Secretary of State Marco Rubio apparently met with Guinean officials recently. President Donald Trump, this now sits at the presidential level on both sides because two innocent Americans are still in prison. What must happen now? We are calling for immediate diplomatic escalation, direct engagement with Guinea's president, enforcement with the court's release order, and a safe return of Brad and Fabio. And the final word, this is all based on court orders, expert legal opinions, ATC records, firsthand testimony, photographic evidence. These are documents, not rumors. Silence now becomes policy. Now, ahead of this publication, Next News Network has contacted the White House press team requesting comment on the continued detention of the American pilot Brad and Fabio in Guinea, despite a court-ordered release. This is the email that I sent out to the White House today. And we'll wait and see if there's any actual response. Americans do not pay bribes to be freed. Marco Rubio, real Donald Trump, bring this American home, share this thread, and force accountability. So before this broadcast, we formally contacted the White House seeking comment and engagement. The outreach was made in good faith ahead of the publication, and now the administration has an opportunity to respond and clarify its actions and demonstrate leadership in securing the release of an American citizen held despite a court order. This moment is why strong, engaged leadership matters. When Americans are detained abroad, history shows us that direct presidential engagement can cut through delays and bring citizens home. We've seen President Trump do it time and time again. This case now requires that level of attention. Brad's family should not be navigating foreign courts and military pressure alone. The Trump administration has an opportunity to act swiftly, enforce respect for court rulings, and reaffirm that American citizens are never forgotten. So follow this story closely, share the facts, and help ensure this case receives the urgency it deserves and action is taken without further delay.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.